Is it a good idea to draft quarterbacks very early in your fantasy football league? And what kind of team will you get? It's time to look at it in a mock draft as Michelle and I break it all down for you with another edition of Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. We're into mock draft week, and I did have to fly solo yesterday on the show, but I think we had some good results there with our zero running back strategy. Michelle, I'm happy to say, is back. If you don't know me, I'm one of your co-hosts here on Locked On Fantasy Football. I'm Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for sportingnews.com.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Magdziuk. I'm a researcher for NFL Network and fantasy analyst for NFL.com.
Yeah, so Michelle, we continued to mock without you yesterday, and interesting results with zero RB. I think we really liked our team. We had some really loaded wide receivers, including CeeDee Lamb and Calvin Ridley, and of course, I got a stack there with Trevor Lawrence. So I've taken Trevor Lawrence twice now in our mock drafts. Will it happen again in early QB mode? So let me set up this particular mock draft. We're doing them on Sleeper. This is a half-point PPR, 12 teams. So we have picked different slots here. I'm second on the clock. Michelle is number 12. We have to draft a quarterback in the first two rounds. Sometimes we could take them with our first pick. I don't know if I'm going to do that at number 2 overall, but I might. But we do have to take a quarterback within the first two rounds and see how our team plays out from there. So excited to see how this exercise works out. And welcome to Locked On Fantasy Football, your destination to become the smartest fantasy football player in your league. We're part of Locked On Network, your team every day, your fantasy football team every day. This episode of Locked On Fantasy Football brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So, Michelle, I'm excited about this exercise. How about you? We've had 2 excellent mock drafts here, but I'm a little bit worried about this one.
Yeah, I never love to take a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. So I do feel like we're going to feel like we're a little thin at the running back or wide receiver position, however this draft unfolds. But I think I have a strategy in mind, and we'll see what my team looks like at the end of it.
All right, let's go ahead and start this mock here. And I'm on the clock quickly at 1.2. Michelle's going to wait till the end of the first round. So let's see where we go. And of course, Christian McCaffrey goes off the board at 1. I'm just going to go simple here. I don't have to take the quarterback here again. It's the first 2 rounds. I will be locked into quarterback. However, if I take Justin Jefferson, which I will here at number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And no brainer there.
Yeah, and then right after your Justin Jefferson pick went Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Bijan Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. Man, I was hoping to get Stephon Diggs at the 112 because I wanted to create a little stack there. Saquon Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor. So I'm up. That kind of already, there's already a wrench thrown in my draft strategy because my whole goal with going quarterback early, I wanted to put together Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I thought that would be a nice little duo there to grab. And I'm not going to get that. But instead, I'm going to go with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go a different stack here.
I like that. If you're going to have to go quarterback early, go for the stack here. That's great. And people are mixed on stacking and season long, but Michelle, explain to them why this can be a payoff strategy in this format as well.
Yeah, I think if you're going here with an early quarterback, you're going for that upside. In any given week, you're saying if these guys go off, my team's going to win, right? If these guys connect for a touchdown or 2, my team has all the upside in that week. And it's just about giving you that advantage. So maybe it's not the smartest thing to go with when I say Josh Allen is my quarterback 1 and Stephon Diggs isn't there. Maybe I shouldn't have shifted off of that. I could have gone AJ Brown and Josh Allen still, but because I have Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen so close in my rankings, that's when I'm okay to make that shift. I wouldn't normally just do that for any quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good call. I mean, you have to have the right combination. You're not going to be stacking different quarterbacks here. I don't know if you're going to go Daniel Jones, Darren Waller. You're going to force
Yeah.
that, even though that's a good combination. You may not force that later in the draft. All right, so after your pick, it was Nick Chubb, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. Team 8 took Derrick Henry. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen went. Michelle, this is not good.
Uh-oh.
And then in between, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave. So I got to jump on a quarterback here. I think I'm going to go for a guy that I want more so than we've talked about him. And this is your guy. This is my guy. I'm just going to dig a little bit deeper and let's go Justin Herbert. Mix it up here.
Ooh.
I'm going Herbert and Jefferson. A couple of Justin back here for me. And knowing that I'm sitting on this pick, so I don't know if I'm going to go for a stack here with Justin Herbert quite yet. I do like Mike Williams quite a bit, but I think it's a little bit early for that. So now I want to see what else I can do. Well, I don't know if there's another Justin on the board that I like here, Michelle. So I think I have to go with the backfield. There's some questions about this guy, but I think there's less questions about him now at this particular spot. He's still going to be their starting running back and get the volume, but consider he was the scrimmage yard leader last year. I'm taking Josh Jacobs, and I feel pretty good about this that I have at least one RB.
Yeah, I like your even though you had a reach there with Justin Herbert, just based on, the guidelines we set for ourselves in this draft, you have Justin Jefferson, Herbert, and Josh Jacobs. That's a nice, 3 guys there to set up your team for success and then to be able to build around that. So I like your build a lot there. And then right after your pick went Mark Andrews, Devonta Smith, Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, Breece Hall, DK Metcalf, Lamar Jackson comes off the board for a different team in the 3rd round, which is very high for him. Travis Etienne, T. Higgins, and I'm back up. I do not have a running back yet. So I started AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, and the running backs on the board. There's no one here that I feel good about being my RB1 because these are the guys that are left. Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Ken Walker, Aaron Jones. So at this point, I might be going 0 RB. I get into the strategy and I might have to go that route. Oh man, wide receiver sitting here, Debo, Calvin Ridley. This is why you don't take a quarterback in the 2nd round because not loving how this is working out for me. I'm going to go actually back to the running back. I am going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. He seems to be a guy that I've been getting hotter and hotter on lately and just moving up my boards. And since I don't love anybody there for RB1, I'm going to go for the upside. And then I'll go for a safer pick here because I get 2 picks at the turn. I'm going to go Joe Mixon. I know he's going to get 300 plus touches this year. So I have my safe guy that will score some fantasy points for me on any given week that I know I will get at least 10 points, right? And then I also have Jahmyr Gibbs who gives me the upside.
All right. Well, we're back here at my pick. After your pick, picks, I should say, Gibbs and Mixon, a pretty good backfield combination. I think those are good values there when you went 0 RB. So at least with the first 2 rounds. And look, you could have gone 0 RB again, but I think you made the call to pivot well there based on the values at wide receiver. And you look at Debo Samuel after your turn, then now we have more runs at quarterback. So in your leagues, quarterbacks are probably going to go flying off the boards a lot earlier than ADP might say, rankings, because a lot of people just want to secure the quarterback and they want to get in that top 8, so to speak, here this year. There's one of those guys potentially still left on the board, but everyone want to make that run early. So that's part of it. You have Aaron Jones going to team number 9, Calvin Ridley to team number 8, Kenneth Walker off the board, Justin Fields, another quarterback here. So 2 more in this round after 4 in the 2nd round. And 1 last round, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, and I'm on the clock. So right now I do like that I have a very top flight wide receiver. I could look at one TJ Hawkinson, but I do have Justin Jefferson, so I don't know if I want to invest too much in this passing game. I do like Kirk Cousins quite a bit, but that's quite a bit to invest in one team, especially if one guy doesn't go off. So it's a really tough decision. The stack is staring at me with Keenan Allen as well. So It's very difficult right now, but I'm going to go for a guy that I've gone after in one mock draft already. I'm going with DJ Moore.
Yeah. Yeah. So are we all on board that DJ Moore is going to pull the Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown jump from changing teams? Or do we think that he doesn't have that type of a ceiling? Because this is me every year with DJ Moore. I never know how to feel about this guy. So can you talk me into
Yeah.
him a little bit?
Yeah, I can. I think I use my magic on Jahmyr Gibbs. I think I'm working on you there quickly, easily,
Yeah.
because you were almost about to pivot away from running back and you got him. So let me see if I can sell you on this, Michelle. DJ Moore, I said he was one guy prime for a career year. He's put it all together. They've had him do everything in Carolina. And I think this guy's just a special receiver. The one thing I like about DJ Moore, and I've known him a little bit being in Charlotte and know what he does with the Panthers, he works really hard. He's durable. He's going to be out there every week. He's going to study and run the right route. So he's just a technical receiver, and Justin Fields is going to target him a lot. I don't trust Darnell Mooney. I don't trust Chase Claypool. They're going to use, I think, Cole Kmet more as a blocker. So who else is he throwing to all that much in this run-heavy offense? But again, we're looking at DeAndre Hopkins at a run-heavy offense there with Tennessee. So, I mean, DJ Moore is in a similar situation. I just think he's
Yep.
an ascending player. I think he's in his prime. And he's going to have a chip on his shoulder as well. This guy plays with that because he wanted to be part of that Panthers team, maybe with Bryce Young or a franchise QB, but he had to go so they could get Bryce Young. So I think he's going to be motivated, go after his new team here and really help Justin Fields. So that's where I just like younger players in their prime. And this guy has shown me that he's going to stay on the field as well.
Yeah, and I think AJ Brown should have taught us last year. We were so worried about him going to this offense that wasn't pass heavy, but it's like if you're a talented guy and they trade for you, they're going to figure out how to utilize you. And I think that's what maybe we're all sleeping on here with DJ Moore. It being able to grab a guy like that at the end of the fourth round, I think we might all be just too low on DJ Moore as a fantasy community.
Yeah, I just think we're thinking too much maybe of him as the Panthers and maybe not scoring enough touchdowns, but that could easily change if he's getting involved in the short passing game that we haven't quite seen him do in Carolina. Different offense, different circumstances, different QB, all those things can add up to better things, as we know. All right, Michelle, we will get into our next rounds here. We have done pretty well here over the first 4 rounds. We are going through 12 rounds here to see what the sample size gives us. Before we do that, I do have to tell you that this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is also brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs makes you look good. I'm wearing some right now, just very comfortable here, shorts that really are comfortable throughout the day. They do the same exact thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. And really, I've enjoyed wearing them. And I also like that they have anti-stink sweat wicking fabric in August in Charlotte. That's very helpful. So I'm cool and dry all day long. So that's fun. And so is this, that you can get this tech hat free right now, this white tech hat that I'm wearing right now if you order from Bird Dogs right now. And it's very simple. Just go to birddogs.com, locked on NFL, and enter the promo code locked on NFL for a free white tech hat that I'm wearing right now with your order. That's birddogs.com/locked on NFL or promo code locked on NFL for this free white tech hat that I'm modeling right now. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you, and you're going to wear them summer, fall, winter, all seasons. Bird Dogs is going to take care of you in comfort. All right, Michelle, we're trying to get comfortable with this early quarterback strategy that we have to employ here in our mock draft. Let's quickly run down what has happened here. I picked at the 2 slot. I ended up with Justin Jefferson, had to take the quarterback in round 2, Justin Herbert. So a couple of Justins, Josh Jacobs. And then I came back with DJ Moore just now in round 4 as I make the turn and come here to round 5. Michelle, at the bottom here at 12, you did the stack of AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts early, and your backfield, starting backfield now, is Joe Gibbs. Yeah, that would be an interesting backfield if you had Joe Gibbs, but you have Joe Mixon and Jameer Gibbs, so easy to mix that backfield. So maybe I'm just going to call your backfield the Joe Gibbs backfield. So let's move on here. And after me at DJ Moore, I had Keenan Allen on my list, but he went to team number 1, so I can't get the stack with Justin Herbert quite yet. I might look at Mike Williams later. J.K. Dobbins went to team number 1. Team number 1 has 4 running backs right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have gone that far, but I'm now looking. I could go in many directions here. I could look at potentially tight end. Would I still go after TJ Hawkinson here? I got to see. So let's see what I'm going to do. Oh man, this is tough, Michelle, because again, I passed on Hawkins in the last round. Can I do it again? Even though I'm going to invest a lot of the Vikings, do I trust them? That's a good question. Although I do see maybe a running back too I like here. So I think I'm going to go in that direction. I think this guy's clearly separated himself. So I'm going Dameon Pierce here. I feel a little bit better about this.
I'm jealous of that pick. He would have been on my list for sure if he would have made it back to me, which he probably wouldn't have anyways. So love that Dameon Pierce pick by you. Then Cam Akers goes. Then TJ Hawkinson is finally off the board. He has been sliding down drafts more and more as we get closer to actual draft season, which makes me happy because I don't have to take TJ Hawkinson so high. And then Terry McLaurin, Alexander Madison. That's one of the highest I've seen him at 5'6". Definitely would have been on my list. George Kittle, Drake London, Jerry Jeudy, DeAndre Swift, and Dallas Goedert goes right before me. All right. I'm really happy I took 2 running backs last time around because the running backs right now are very thin. So I'm definitely going over to the wide receivers. And I'm really sorry, but I'm stealing your guy that you would have liked here for your stack. I'm going Mike Williams because we all know I think he's going to be Justin Herbert's top guy this year over Keenan Allen when it comes to fantasy points. And then I think I'll grab my tight end, Darren Waller, who's getting all the hype that he's just a target machine with the Giants this year. I don't know how much I trust Daniel Jones, but I do trust Brian Dable. And I think he's going to make sure that Daniel Jones has these wide open guys and Darren Waller is going to be wide open. So I'm going to take him. I'll feel good about plugging him into my lineup just every week, and I don't have to worry about the tight end position on the waivers.
Yeah, the one thing about Waller, he's one of the guys that I think is pushing Hawkinson down because everyone's getting word of this. We were ahead of this curve a little bit, right, Michelle? We were plugging Darren Waller as much as possible. We wanted to target Hawkinson or Waller. Then the fortunate thing is you had George Kittle and Dallas Goedert go. So I don't know if that's going to play on a lot of drafts. I think Waller might be rising really fast here, and that again could give us the value with Hawkinson. So some good stuff after your pick. Rashad White went. Yeah, I know what you're saying with running backs. I mean, if I look at this list, Alvin Kamara, you got to deal with him missing 3 games. Kyle Pitts, I would still take Waller over Pitts. Christian Watson, Chris Godwin, James Conner, Tyler Lockett, Trevor Lawrence, and Dalvin Cook. So these are some of the guys that I did not have on my list. I was thinking about tight end here. That is a bit of a weakness on my team at this stage, but now I have to look at potentially wide receiver. But we can start a flex in this spot as well. So I'm actually going to pass on some wide receivers I actually like, including Brandon Ayuk and Marquise Brown. And I'm actually going to get my 3rd running back here and take advantage of that. And I'm going to go Javonte Williams. I think he's a really good value here, so I'm jumping on him.
And one thing I was going to point out that you may have overlooked is the team 1, right, had already 4 running backs because they started with Christian McCaffrey, Pollard, Stevenson, and J.K. Dobbins. So I think you're looking to probably take a wide receiver here. And your boy, Brandon Ayuk, did go off the board because team 1 needed wide receiver. So he chose Pittman, or she, whoever this computer is, chose Michael Pittman and Brandon Ayuk. So maybe you should have waited to take your running back knowing that they're not looking towards the running back most likely, and then taking your wide receiver so you got top choice.
That is a good strategy to think about, Michelle. That is very astute here to follow that. Yeah, track who is going on the board next to you. Look, I just saw Javonte Williams. My eyes lit up here. He did full disclosure in my 0 running back exercise yesterday when we had to fly solo. He was my top running back, and I got him around this round, and I was thrilled because I had so many things at wide receiver going on that were really helpful. So I could not been happier there. So maybe I'm just carrying over some of my guys that I like. Now, I'm not necessarily going to lock into a wide receiver here yet, but I think it's the way to go. I did like a couple guys equally, so I'm going to go with Marquise Hollywood Brown. I think he's the main guy here. If Michael Wilson is your number 2 receiver, then Marquise Brown is a pretty big number 1 receiver, and I think he's going to be okay with whatever quarterback.
Yeah, if Michael Wilson's your wide receiver 2, you don't have a wide receiver 2. Basically.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll break out in his rookie season. Maybe I'm being mean. After Marquise Brown went Mike Evans, Isaiah Pacheco, David Montgomery, Christian Kirk, Jackson Smith, Najigba, who may not be ready for week 1. So I could see him falling down draft boards shortly here. Jahan Dotson and Deontay Johnson, 2 guys that I have always been targeting right around this area of the draft. So they go right ahead of me, which hurts. David Njoku and then George Pickens. I will say there is a huge drop off now because I do think Jahan Dotson and Deontay Johnson have real opportunities to be top 15 wide receivers this year in fantasy. And I think from here, then you get much riskier picks because you're looking at a lot of the rookies, or you're looking at Brandon Cooks or Gabe Davis. So that's a huge drop off for me, and something that kind of hurts my soul here.
Yeah.
So, and then I look at
Sorry.
the running backs. There's James Cook, AJ Dillon. I'm kind of going to take a little bit of a reach here, but I'm okay with it. I'm going to take a reach on Khalil Herbert. I think he's being drafted too lowly. I'm not going to get him back after this. I have to take 2 picks here, right? So I don't have another pick for 24 after this. And I don't think he lasts back to me. So I'm going to take him. And then I'll go with a guy that we've been touting a lot and always drafting, Gabe Davis here with, I didn't get to draft Josh Allen earlier, but I'll still grab his wide receiver.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's a good group there. I mean, looking at the way it broke down, and I think you can say reach, but you can go for an upside player. I don't like the word reach necessarily. If you like the player, go for it. And you like Khalil Herbert just as much as maybe Justin Herbert. You might be a tie which Herbert that you like here more. But when I look at it, yeah, you already have 2 starting running backs. You might as well go for a third with some upside in a run-heavy offense. So I love that. I love getting Williams and Davis. Look, you're sticking to your guns on players you like, just like I am with DJ Moore, and that's totally fine. And I think you made a very good point that you're going to have to wait a long time. So you have to be a little bit more aggressive at the polls here, if you want to call them, the turns with 1 and 12. You got to do that because you got to wait a long time. You're not going to get someone, you can't expect anyone to fall to you at those spots. So I really like that. So in between, we have Deshaun Watson going quarterback, and Jordan Addison, James Cook finally going, Pat Freemuth. I'm needing a tight end. This is not good. Treylon Burks, Brandon Cooks, who I might have considered here at some point, is off the board. Quentin Johnston, another potential stack gone for me. So I probably won't have a stack here with Herbert. Looking at Dak Prescott, and then it's me on the clock, and the clock is ticking quickly. So this is a tough one for me. I think I don't love the wide receivers, unfortunately. I don't want to force myself into tight end yet, maybe. So I think I'm going to just go for running back that I like in this particular format in the half point. I'm going to go get some more depth here and go Antonio Gibson.
He does seem to be getting a little bit more hype lately. If Ron Rivera and Eric or Bieniemy, Eric? Is
Yes.
that the correct? Yeah. I don't know why that sounds wrong to me. Bieniemy actually utilizes Gibson as a pass catching back that we all know he can be, then there's no reason you should be able to get him in, the end of the 8th round. It's just we've seen this play out over and over and over again. They say they're going to use Gibson more as a pass catcher, and then he doesn't. But with J.D. McKissick finally not with the team, and with Bieniemy there, maybe they finally use a weapon that is very talented.
Yeah, I'm taking a shot, and this is depth spot, and this is what I tend to do in drafts. I'll be very transparent with this. If I get too deep at tight end, I'm got some sleepers on my list. I'm going to go after them later. I don't need to. I'm going to load up on depth. I don't think the value now at tight end is much better as we get to Njoku, Freiermuth, and the Ingram tier. That's not an exciting tier for me. I do like Freiermuth to be okay, but none of them have upside to me. So I'm going to load my team with some depth here. And the other thing I will say, and we'll get into that in our final segment here, taking a quarterback early means you don't have to invest in quarterback much in the rest of the draft, if at all. So that's the beauty of it. You can really load up at other positions here. And tight end is the one holdout I'm having here. And we'll see if I address it on the turn here coming back as we look at the final 4 rounds, 9 through 12 in our early quarterback edition of our mock draft here. We told you at the top that this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain they have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. This is time to build a winning team, just like we have all across the NFL. And for your fantasy football rosters, you want to make all the right decisions. And LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you do that for your small business. Very easy to create a job. All you have to do is create it and add the job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, Michelle, we have a job to finish here and do our last 4 rounds of this mock draft as we went to QB early. You got Jalen Hurts in round 2. I got Justin Herbert in round 2, and then we're looking at the results that follow there. So again, we're Locked On Fantasy Football, your destination to become the smartest fantasy football player in your league. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Every day is we're going to have one more strategy to look at tomorrow and look at maybe the Travis Kelce Memorial Draft, what we do if we get a tight end early and what that does for our team. So we'll see how that plays out. So the exact opposite of what I'm doing now and waiting on a tight end. So after I took Antonio Gibson, Tua Tagovailoa went off the board at team 1, so they got their quarterback finally, and they got their tight end. I wouldn't say they sniped Evan Ingram because I was not interested in it in that time. So now I'm going to resume and see what's going on here. I'm on the clock here at 9.2. Michelle, there's a lot of interesting values still available here, so I'm not sure what to do. Will I go tight end? Should I end the mystery here quickly? I don't know exactly if I still like the tight ends that are on the board yet. There's a guy that I'm kind of holding out on a little bit. You might know who it is, so I'm going to wait there. So I'm going to look at some of these wide receivers, see if I have someone off the board that I'm going to take that I'm a little bit more interested in. I'm trying to see if there's a name out there. I know these rankings are a little bit not exactly what I'm expecting. I'm going to be aggressive here and go after this player and wait. And I'm going to go Romeo Doubs.
Ooh, I actually just had an article go out today on NFL.com. I'm going to plug that for a second. It was guys that to take in the double-digit rounds as one of your last skill position players. And Romeo Doubs highlighted that article. I haven't seen him go as early as 9, but like you said, you have a long wait till your next pick. So if you feel confident that he has a real chance to break out this year, which he does, like he could easily be the wide receiver 1 for the Packers, you got to take him. And I definitely was planning on taking him later. So you sniped me, but I like that pick by you. And then Rashad Penny goes after with AJ Dillon, Kadarius Toney, Samaje Perine, Zay Flowers, Brian Robinson, Michael Thomas, Juju Smith-Schuster. So 2 wide receivers again that I would have been eyeing. The 2 guys that I always want keep going ahead of me, which is very irritating. And then Anthony Richardson, quarterback, goes right before my pick. So I'm on the board. I was looking to grab a wide receiver that I thought could have some safe value here that I know is going to get targets. That's why I was looking for Juju Smith-Schuster. He seems to be the clear wide receiver 1 for the Patriots, but he goes. So I have to pivot here, and there is literally nobody safe. It's all just going for upside at this point. So I could go with Cortland Sutton because if Russell Wilson's going to come back to life, maybe Cortland Sutton does as well. And I think that's where I'm leaning. This is the first time I think in any of my mock drafts this offseason that I've taken Cortland Sutton, but I was really high on him last year. Last offseason, I thought Cortland Sutton and Russell Wilson were going to be an amazing connection. And obviously that bit me in the butt. So I think that's why I've been so far off of it this year. But it could totally be that post-hype sleeper, and I'm going to give him another shot. And then with this next pick, I'm going to go with Jamal Williams. With Alvin Kamara being suspended the first 3 games, he should be a guy that I can rely on during at least the first 3 weeks. And then I still think they use him around the goal line thereafter, even when Kamara gets back. So he should still hold value for me throughout the year.
And I'm sure that team, I think it was, let's see, if we look on the board, team 10, Alvin Kamara, they probably wanted him. So they're probably a little bit upset, whoever they might be. Team 10. So you sniped them potentially. They would have had the whole Saints backfield for a while, except for Kendra Miller. So I like that pick. I was looking at him if he was around, even though I already had the other Jay Williams. I don't know if I wanted to hoard all of them here, but yeah, that's a really good pick. And again, you got a good variety. You got 2 kind of upside backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and Khalil Herbert. You also have a reliable back in Joe Mixon. Now you have a guy that's going to be a starter early for you there that you can put in the flex in Jamal Williams. I like it. Dalton Kincaid, I'm still not interested in him. Tight end. Kirk Cousins went at number 10, Kirk Cousins. So no backup stack for me with Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Rashad Bateman, Aaron Rodgers, Dalton Schultz. I might have thought about him at tight end, but I still have another name I'm looking at, Al Nazard, and then another Jay Williams. This is Jameson, still with the Lions, suspension there, that upside play. You have also Elijah Moore and Devin Akane went off the board. So I need to find somebody to take here, Michelle, that I am excited about. And I don't see a lot that I'm totally going nuts over. But I'm going to go after another upside receiver as my wide receiver 5. Probably my last receiver I'm taking here is Sky Moore.
Yep. So it's between Sky Moore and Rashee Rice, right? And it's whatever one that you want to take a shot on, but I think it's well worth doing it to try to get Patrick Mahomes wide receiver 1 this year. It could be like last year, right? Where none of them really mattered all that much, but it's still worth it when you can just give it a chance when you're in the 10th, 11th round. I think that's a perfect time to just take one of them and see if they hit. And if they do, I mean, it's not just like, oh, I got a nice value here. No, this is Patrick Mahomes' top guy if it hits. And that would be that's a league winning type pick if everything ends up working out for you.
Yeah, and I had to do it. And I'm still holding out on tight end. I'm still doing this. And there's still 3 guys I like. There's one guy I like in particular I think might be still available when I come back. Yeah, believe it or not, in round 12. So after my pick, it was Damian Harris and then Jerick McKinnon. Yeah, some more running back depth. But I think I'm a running back drafter. I like to have a lot of depth at this position. I only have 4. Sometimes I take 6 or 7 and just cut people when I want to and see and go to that direction. So I'm going after a buzzy name, and I am also tied to rookies here. And I'm going to get Tank Bigsby. I want another piece of this Jaguars offense. So going him.
I thought you were going to say Tank Dell, and I was going to be very, very sad. But then you went with Bigsby, and I'm okay with that because that means I'm still going to get my guy. After you went with OBJ, Elijah Mitchell, Geno Smith, Cole Kmet, Adam Thielen, Chig Okonkwo. Was that who you're looking for here at tight end?
I don't know.
Oh, well, he's off the board. Tyler Algier, Ezekiel Elliott, and Tyler Boyd. So these are my last 2 picks of the draft. I have to round out my team. I already told you I'm going to take Tank Dell because you guys will, when you're drafting, you're going to have to find him down probably on your ADP list here on whatever system, but well worth that 11th round draft cost or 12th round or 13th round, wherever you want to take him. But get Tank Dell on your team. And then with my last pick, I'm deciding if I want to go with another upside guy here. And I'm deciding between Kenneth Gainwell or do I go with trying to get Patrick Mahomes, possible wide receiver 1 with Rashee Rice. But since I already took a rookie wide receiver in Tank Dell, I'm going to go with Kenneth Gainwell and see if he'll be the starter for the Eagles to start the season.
I do like it. Upside. You're looking for upside in this part of the draft, not just guys that are going to plug and play potentially, but people that could be league winners. And I think you're like me that you swing for the fences. I don't just want somebody, oh, I'm going to pick this player and he's going to maybe play and he's an old guy that's not great. I think the team 11 did that with Raheem Mustard right behind you. Kendra Miller, I like that pick for team net 10. So they got him behind Kamara instead of Williams. Daniel Jones goes behind Lamar Jackson. I see that as a very popular combination right now, quarterback, as well as Rodgers and Goff, which is on team 8. The Mahomes team at team 7 just went for Darnell Mooney. Some upside there. Greg Dulcich, was he my tight end? He went at team number 6. Jacoby Myers, I do like more than others at 5. Jalen Warren, a nice potential handcuff there going at team 4. And then you had Rashee Rice. So they're trying to do what I did with Sky Moore and try to get a piece of this offense. So now, Michelle, I'm going to just take my tight end for the purposes of discussion in this draft. And I'm okay with it right now. And it's Sam Laporta.
Yeah. I knew that's who you were going with. Even though going into week 1 and plugging in a rookie tight end is not going to feel too great for you. I don't think it could absolutely work out. We think he's going to be fantasy relevant in his rookie season, but you don't know how his usage will look in his very first week of the NFL season. So that's a little bit scary, but maybe you're going to have more rounds in your real draft, right? So maybe you would take another tight end with one of your last picks that you feel a little bit more confident, like maybe a Hunter Henry that you feel a little bit better about plugging in week 1. So I like that you still got a guy that we think can really explode it for at least the tight end fantasy position this year. That wraps up our drafts. I'll run through my team and then I'll let you do it. So my quarterback is Jalen Hurts. I started with him in the 2nd round. And then my wide receivers are AJ Brown, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Cortland Sutton, and Tank Dell. And my running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Khalil Herbert, Jamal Williams, and Kenneth Gainwell. And my tight end is Darren Waller. I actually don't mind this team whatsoever, even though I would never typically take a quarterback this high. But I think it all ended up working out. I grabbed a lot of guys that I'm very high on this year.
Yeah, I do like the makeup of your team. And look, you just can't forget that, especially with your team, Jalen Hurts getting a top 3 tier QB is exciting to know that you're going to have a consistent score. And now you have a stack there all season long, and you got a lot of upside players as well. And I don't think your wide receivers are too bad overall. When you look deeper with Mike Williams and Gabe Davis, you like them, and they're come through. And Darren Waller, pretty solid pick there. So really good drafting there. I know it's a little bit uncomfortable for both of us doing this, but I think I'm okay with mine. I think your team might be a little bit more pleasing to my eye at this first moment, but I took Justin Jefferson first, and I came back with Justin Herbert at QB. I followed Jefferson later at wide receiver with DJ Moore, Marquise Holly Brown, Romeo Doubs, and Sky Moore. And then my backfield, including the flex here that we are starting in this particular league, Josh Jacobs, Dameon Pierce, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, and Tank Bigsby. And then we know I held out all the way till the last round 12 for my tight end, Sam Laporta. Now, here's how I feel about my team. I think this is what I would do. I think it's the same kind of feeling that I have a tight end and quarterback. And Michelle, I don't know how you feel about this, and get your thoughts on this, but I feel like quarterback early or quarterback late is the way to go. Same thing with tight end early, tight end late. And I don't know if that always applies, but then it also allows you to load up in the middle where all that value is at running back and wide receiver. So I think that's the general strategy that I'm figuring out for myself as we do these mock draft exercises.
Yeah, it is kind of nice to take quarterback. And like for me, where I took my quarterback, right, Jalen Hurts, and I feel very confident that he's going to be great this year because he will be. So I don't have to worry about a backup at all, and I don't have to worry about wasting a pick later on. And then with me taking Darren Waller also semi early, I still use a pretty high pick overall on him, a 6th rounder. I also didn't have to worry about a backup tight end. At least yet, right? Maybe I'll have to on waivers, but it really allowed me to be super free at the end of the draft. And I didn't have to worry about, I just was grabbing depth and I didn't have to worry about positions. And that was really nice. I could just do the best player available that I think will have the best upside for my team.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line. We've looked at our drafts this week, the first 3 we've done, and there's been some pleasing results. So it's really showing that you can do it with any style of drafting here. You just have to focus on those picks in between. We are all focused on round 1, round 2, or getting the deep sleepers, but those in between meaty rounds is where we really want to make our hay. And we'll see what we do, however, when we take a tight end early. That'll be on tomorrow's show. Thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We're your destination to become the smartest fantasy football player in your league, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your fantasy football team every day. For Locked On Fantasy Football, this has been Vinnie Iyer.
And I'm Michelle Magdziuk. Bye, y'all.